Hi everyone, and welcome to learn about the articles. You may already know that there are 3 articles in the English language, but what might come as a surprise is that those 3 articles in fact are the definite article the and the indefinite articles a and the zero article. You might be wondering at this point whatever happened to the indefinite article a. Well, actually it's just one variant of the indefinite article a. And actually the definite article the also has 2 variants. We say the bird, the yard. If the noun begins with a consonant sound, the definite article is the. If it begins with a vowel sound, we pronounce the article the apple, the hour. And do you notice how spelling can be misleading? Because here we start with a consonant, it's a vowel sound. Yard begins with a vowel, but it begins with a consonant sound, J, yard. With the indefinite article you can also see the difference in writing. Therefore, we have a bird, a yard, an apple, an hour. Zero article is used with uncountable nouns, mass nouns, nouns that cannot be counted, such as coffee, gold, and also with plural countable nouns, birds, apples. In fact, some words may be both countable and uncountable, as coffee, for example. In a sentence, I like coffee, we treat this word as uncount. It refers to the substance. But in I'd like a coffee, please, the same word is treated as a count, because here it refers to a unit of that of that substance. A coffee means 1 cup of coffee. So we can have count nouns, mass nouns, both as uncount or as count, depending on the circumstances. Now let's have a closer look at the definite article. The definite article tells us that the referent is known for the reader or the listener. There are several reasons for why it can be known, and the first of these is anaphoric. Anaphoric reference means that we use the definite article when we refer to something that was mentioned earlier. As in, I'm trying to fix a car, but the engine won't start. Here we use the definite article the, because we are referring to that particular car. And do notice that you don't have to mention the same word. Here we have a car, and the second word is engine, but we all know that a car has an engine, therefore we can use the definite article. So that's anaphoric. We use the definite article when we refer to something that has been mentioned before. Definiteness can be cataphoric as well. It's like anaphoric reference, but the other way around. As in, I know the name of this song. We use the definite article here because what follows defines this name. Therefore, we have the definite article. It's the name of this particular song. This is cataphoric reference. Definiteness can also be situational. It can refer to the immediate physical surroundings that define the referent, or it can refer to common knowledge. In "Can you open the door?" we use the definite article as there's only one door in this room. We all know what door we're talking about. and therefore we use the definite article. We haven't mentioned the door before, it's not defined with anything that comes after, but it's the physical surroundings that define which door it is. Or it can be common knowledge. The sun is shining. We all know that there's only one sun in our solar system, so it has to be that one that is shining. Therefore, we use the definite article. In some cases, it's only logical to use the definite article. With superlatives, for example, he was the fastest runner there was. If there only can be one who's the fastest, it's only logical to use the definite article. So it's either the superlative or other restrictive modifiers that define the referent to be unique somehow. And there we use the definite article. We all know what we're talking about because it's a unique runner that was the fastest one. The definite article can also be used in generic reference. Here, it doesn't mean that we're talking about a particular individual, for example. In The Elephant Never Forgets, it's not any particular elephant that never forgets, it's all elephants. So we use the definite article to refer to the class as a whole. The elephants as a species never forget. We also use the definite article with plural nouns referring to nationalities, as in the Chinese invented gunpowder. Here the definite article tells us that it's the Chinese people that invented. Similarly to adjectives, adjective heads that have a human reference. The blind cannot see. It's all the blind people we cannot see. Okay, let's move on to the indefinite article. The indefinite article tells us that the reference is or cannot be uniquely identified. If we mention something for the first time, we are very likely to use the indefinite article. The next reference to the same thing would be anaphoric, and there we would have the definite article. We could use the indefinite article with a specific reference. Specific indefinite reference, as in, a friend of mine just called me. Here we haven't identified which friend it was, but it was a specific friend that called me in this example. The reference can also be non-specific, as in, everybody needs a friend. Here the reference hasn't been uniquely identified either, but it's not any specific friend either. It's a friend in general, and this is very closely related to generic reference. Similarly to the definite article, we use the indefinite article with generic reference when we refer to the class as a whole. The indefinite article, however, has a limitation to this use, as it means any member of that class. A panda bear eats bamboo shoots means that any member of the panda bear species eat bamboo shoots. We cannot, however, say a panda bear is becoming extinct, because an individual cannot become extinct. It's the entire species as a whole that do that. We use the indefinite article with classifying reference, as in John became a lawyer. Words of occupation, words of religion, political view, and so on are used with the indefinite article. Although we do not normally use the indefinite article with proper nouns, there are a few cases where we can have it there. Some proper nouns are used with the definite article, and you have a list of them in your material. If we refer to a certain work of art or to a certain product, we can use the indefinite article. As in, I drive a Volvo. Here we are referring to a product. The zero article, it conveys indefiniteness, and as mentioned before, it's only used with uncountable and countable plural nouns. The zero article has, however, some special uses that closely resemble the use of the definite article, and the first of these is unique roles or tasks, as in, I am captain of our team. If there can only be one captain at a time, we can say that with the zero article, although it would make very little difference to have the definite article there as well. We use the zero article with quasi-locatives, as in, I go to upper secondary. If we use places as institutions, we use them with the zero article. I go to upper secondary means that you go there to study. I go to church means that you go there for the sermon, for the mass. If you were to have an article there, it would merely mean that you go to the building and not to do what you're supposed to do there. Zero article is used with means of transportation and communication with the preposition by. Therefore, we say travel by bus, by train, send by email, and so on. It's used with meals, lunch, breakfast, and so on. Illnesses, and especially with technical terms, are used with zero article to find a cure for cancer. It is used in block language, language that appears in newspaper headlines, for example. Child hit by car could be an example of a newspaper headline. We can leave the articles out in the headline. That's called block language. We use it in fixed phrases, hand in hand, eye for eye, and so on, tooth for tooth. And finally, we use it with generic reference, and that's the most common way to have a generic reference with the zero article. We can say research is vital for human progress, for example, or love conquers all. But do notice that there's the same limitation here. Only use the zero article with uncount or plural count nouns. Wonderful. And then we'll have a look at where to place the article. Articles are called modifiers or determiners. The definite article appears here, and there are some predeterminers, words that occur before the article, and these are all, both, double, twice, half. And some words, post-determiners, that appear after the article, and they are first, last, other, next, same, and then seven, many more, most, and so on. Do you notice that if you have both ordinal and cardinal numbers, you need to have the ordinal numbers first, followed by the cardinal number. With this information, we get expressions such as all the pretty faces, both the books, double the distance, twice the amount, and so on. All of these appear before the article. With the indefinite article, the pre-modifiers, predeterminers, are, half, many, such, what, quite, rather, and then these expressions that take an adjective. Do you notice that words quite and rather should be placed before the article or after? But there's a limitation to that as well. We'll get there after a few examples. Based on this, we can have expressions such as give me just half a cup, or it's such a nice day, what a surprise, many a man has tried, quite a long time, or we can say a quite long time, rather a boring fellow, or a rather boring fellow. But if we leave the adjective out, then we need to have these words before the article, such as quite an adventure, rather a bore. There we do need to have these as predeterminate. Finally, as, how or however, so, and to plus the adjective appear before the indefinite article there. As in, as good a man as he was. However easy an exercise, so warm a day, too expensive a flat. All of these words plus the adjective must become before the indefinite article. Wonderful. Hope you learned something. Stay tuned for more.